YouTube, what's up? I know how people call, in different cultures, they call females the earth, because the seed in the earth, you impregnate the earth, basically, whatever. And people, like, in Islam, I know they call the woman, the female principle, the earth. And I can see definitely, why that is. The woman being denser too. The earth itself being called a rock, or the third rock from the sun. And a rock that holds a lot of water, just like a woman, retaining more water. So if we look at dense energy in general, dense energy always attracts other energies to it, like magnetism, like the earth itself with its allure, being it a female or whatever, what have you. It has its attraction value or magnetism to it that brings souls here or brings energies here, attracts things. It does have a magnetic pull or a force, whatever you want to call that. Whether you call it a lure or magnetism or whatever. So we get into it. We come from the ether through the male principle, from the nothingness through the male principle into the female principle, into the density. So the energy is attracted to this density, this female principle, in a sense. And we can look at that like, okay, as far as vampires go in general, of all sorts, you don't want stagnant energy. You don't want energy of the scavenger class. That energy has residue that you do not want to deal with. Because first of all, we can take any form of energy and refine it, concentrate it, to where a lesser amount of energy can be refined to a point where we would need less energy, as opposed to a bunch of energy that, it's just like if you pack a punch, a concentrated punch, it could do the same damage as a bunch of punches that maybe aren't as concentrated. So the same thing goes for energy, how we can absorb it, bring it through our system, and be used as catalysts to make things manifest one way or another with this energy. Because really, we could look at it like it's only a few types of people on the earth. Like your warrior, when the caste system, you get your warrior class, your counselors, and your priest class. Priest being more spiritual or subtle realm, psychic realm. Warrior being the other end of the spectrum, being so in their body, more dense, not easily attacked psychically, because they constantly have the shield up, and they're so dense. And then you have the counselor that walks the fine line between the two. So with these different forms of vampires, or different forms of people in general, when there is a dense amount of energy, we can look at it in any form. We want it to be more pure energy. We want it to be of a constant generator or beacon of energy. We can look at people as like beacons, certain people with certain energy levels. And you can look at the gym or yoga classes like buffets for other vampires. Like in Greece, they call impuzes these entities that take the form of the female principle, and they extract the energy from the male principle. And because again, will itself is sexless. It can take the form of a sex, but it itself, a soul or will itself, awareness itself, is sexless. It's devoid of the yin and yang relationship that creates relativity. It's not part of that thing. So with something dense, a person that goes to the gym and bulks, that's dense energy, and it's constantly in motion, constantly regenerating, going through a cycle of degradation ultimately, but there's constant cycling of energy there. There's a constant movement of it. So there's more It's kind of like a power plant. You don't want someone that is totally a scavenger, that's totally a bottom feeder, because they are stagnant. Like I said, their energy has terrible residue that you do not want to have to convert, and the average vampire isn't going to convert them. So if you look at these different things, like I'm saying, like gyms or yoga classes or whatever, you can look at them like buffets, and you can look at all the people that are attractive in all ways, one way or another. They don't have to be so much physically attractive as, people that get people to look towards them. Politicians, basically, they generate a certain level of attraction. Be it political, it's still a form of attraction. So they take the energy of the gazers and they convert it and make it manifest into what they wanted to manifest into. And you can look at these open bodies and vessels. The denser they are, the more they attract. The more, it's just like a rock. Like there's some that say that the earth itself was a rock first, and then glaciers from space came, pulled towards this rock, and they were melted as they got closer to the sun, and then they dissipated and became the earth's atmosphere, rained down onto this rock, produced the rivers and estuaries and all these things, and then from that water, again, we all come from this water, this amniotic fluid, or melanin, really, form of melanin, everything, we're in this melanin ocean, bursts the rest of life. So however you want to look at it, the density, dense things, male or female, we're all both in this physical realm. It attracts other energies and other entities to it because it generates energy. It's a dense concentration of energy. It's a rock. Everything is based around this rock in this physical realm. Again, the rock itself is infinity, a physical form of infinity. So that's a creative person, a creative beacon. You got a woman, there's a certain level of attraction to a motherly woman, whether they have kids or not. It's just if they have that value in them, that creative value to where that is their capacity to be able to create on that level, there's a certain allure or attraction to them. And that goes for all creators, or all beacons, we could call them. Beacons of darkness in the light, the blind, glaring light, or beacons of light in the darkness, whichever school of thought you wish to take part in. Doesn't matter. So, yeah, if we look at it like that, we can see why we have, there's basically buffets. We're being used like buffets at these gyms, these yoga classes and different things. It's not always the worst to get together on your own, but you're being put in a class or an area with a bunch of people that are all not, it's just it's not as conjunctive as you would think. Like it's you and your friends going, or close kindred spirits going to do something together in the park. It's you and a bunch of people that are so-called strangers, ignorant to each other and what energies you bring and carry to a place where you build your energy, whether it's the gym or whatever, and it's just like a buffet for anyone that wants that fresh energy. Because again, there's different forms of getting energy. You have that deep core vampirism, stealing, which is hard to do without the consent. Someone has to really be giving their own energy up. Then you have the contact form, and then you have subtle forms. Well, contact would be, all sorts. Actual just touching someone and creating the bond through that physical residue and collision, or sexual energy. It's just like the way to create a sex slave is to abstain from an orgasm, and because if the other person has an orgasm or multiple orgasms and then you come, then you give all that energy back through that vessel. And if they're open, then they're not even the energy is just fleeting. Like in some cultures, as far as magic work, druids and different people, they use that, they have an image in their mind when they come to that point of ejaculation, to where they use that energy to create something. And most people are just slinging this energy, this lightning bolt around without knowing. So if you abstain from an orgasm and the other person does, then you can effectively create a sex slave, because they will constantly think that, about that next time of trying to please you, even in their mind, and that creates this connection between you and them where you just feed off of them, because they're constantly thinking about that. It's just, or most people would. A lot of the average person doesn't know how to get breathe that out and get rid of that feeling of inadequacy. So that's a form of contact vampirism. Then you have your subtle form, which is would be the ensuing part of that, would be the mental form. Like if you're in the workplace with someone and there is a tension, sexual or whatever, that form of tension of your presence, even if it's anger, it creates an energy, because they might want to mentally kill you and see you chopped up or whatever. They're giving you this energy, and you can use it just by presenting yourself and not going to that point of engaging where you're giving yourself back to them, or giving their energy that they gave you back to them. So there's all different forms of it. And again, the denser the person, the more emotion they are. It's just like a person that is at a certain level of awareness to where they know they generate energy, but not enough to where they have a good idea of what is going on as far as the vampires or the vampiric beings that exist. So it's a little something, a little food for thought.